How's everyone doing? Coming out with a little weak. How's everyone doing? Good. We're going to sing together, so I'm going to invite everyone who is able to stand as we sing the song together. I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of a weight? It was my turn till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my turn till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. Now your freedom is all that I know. The old man knew Jesus when I met you. And I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. Needed rescue, my sin was heavy, the chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, then you called me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you called my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness to your glorious day. Give it up for Jesus.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Happy Saturday. You all can have a seat. How you guys all doing today? Fantastic. Love the energy in the room today. And what a great way to start off the day. And I hope you're having a glorious day. And whenever we have an opportunity to do this and to meet together, I feel like it is a glorious day every single time. And so thankful that you're here. For those of you who are watching via stream, grateful wherever you're watching from that you joined us as well. And today is going to be a great day. It already has been, but we're going to continue to have an incredible day because we are in week 4 of our vertical marriage series. And we're going to be watching Dave and Ann on video. And today, they're going to be talking about, and we're going to be having a conversation about our favorite topic, which is sex. And so today is all about sex. And so because we're talking about this topic, we actually put a PG-11 rating on this service just because of the contents of the day. And so if you have young children, now would be a great time for you. If you don't want them to hear what's going to be talked about today, now would be a great time for you to move out with them into the lobby. Or it's also not too late for them to be a part of K-Kids, which is our incredible kids ministry. And so we're going to be seeing them in a little bit. But before we do, we also wanted to provide you with an update and tell you a little bit more about the Everyone campaign that has been happening for the past 3 years. And the Everyone campaign is our capital campaign for us to raise money so that we can take a bigger step towards fulfilling our God-given mission, which is to see everyone mobilized and transformed and mobilized for Jesus. And so incredible things have happened in the past 3 years, and so we'd love for you to check out this video to see everything that God has done.
This is a for the king moment and for the kingdom moment where we say, yes, I'm in, and I'm in sacrificially, and I'm believing, God, you will provide, and you will. And I'm doing this for you and your kingdom. God, may use us, this family on mission, to accomplish your mission.
This adventure called Everyone requires significant financial resources to fulfill our mission to see everyone transformed and mobilized by Jesus. To accomplish big-time kingdom movements, like discipling the nations and the next generation, we asked everyone to pray about making a financial commitment over and above their current level of giving. So far, 3,728 households committed financial pledges, totaling over $21.5 million to the Everyone campaign. During the past 3 years, these households have given more than $17.2 million so far. We are blown away. I'm blown away by the open-handedness and generosity of our church family.
With the Everyone campaign coming to a close, let's take a look at what has been completed to date. All of this was possible because of the sacrificial giving of those who participated in the campaign. Traverse City became an official Kensington campus back in September 2016. There were many upgrades made throughout the building, including a new lobby for our first-time guests and a completely overhauled kids wing. We were able to upgrade the equipment in the auditorium so that it has the same level of excellence as the other Kensington campuses. We have seen an increase of nearly 100 kids every week in Kensington Kids. We are accomplishing our mission of reaching the one through younger families and the next generation in northern Michigan. Now, let's head to the east side. For almost 12 years, the Clinton Township campus made the weekends happen by unloading several tons of equipment into a rented facility. But in May 2018, CT has a permanent facility. Now nearly 4,000 people attend this new facility every weekend, and hundreds come through the doors the other 6 days of the week to discover hope and healing and to learn about a God who loves them and to find community within Macomb County. Did I mention they even have a fireplace? Jealous. We were also able to fuel the Kensington engine with upgrades to things like our website. There were 38,000 unique visitors last month visiting our site. IT infrastructure and online streaming equipment were also improved. These systems will help us manage information and communicate with people to more effectively reach the one. Have you ever heard of the saying, "This is why we don't have nice things"? Well, we can't say that anymore at our Troy and Orion campuses. Now our guests can enjoy their cup of coffee in our updated lobbies. New furnishings, floorings, and a fresh coat of paint in our permanent buildings make this a place where our first-time guests feel welcome. There is also clearly marked signage for the kids area and a hub where anyone can ask questions or get involved. Orange never looked so good. The Troy, Orion, and Traverse City campuses have made several upgrades with security for all the kids' areas. And at our new Clinton Township building, it was built right in. Now this one is not as thrilling as the others, but oh so important. The Orion building received a new stage floor and a new roof. Now, no more buckets strategically placed on rainy days. Seriously, it was leaking. We believe that investing in the next generation is a way to transform our local communities around Metro Detroit and Traverse City. So far, funds from the campaign have helped launch Youth with a Mission in Detroit. We have also poured significant financial resources into fueling our School Partners program, which partners with public schools near each of our campuses. A special thanks to our Kaleo Kids program, which has the awesome opportunity to work directly with 6 elementary schools. These kids not only have a chance to participate in the arts, but to hear about the love of Jesus as well. One of the passions of Kensington is church planning. Many churches to reach many different people groups and regions. In the past 3 years, Kensington has had the privilege of launching 2 church plants. Easttown Church with Clint Dupin and Michael Dupin near San Francisco, and Anthem Church with Colin and Liz Harfield in the Boston area. Great things are happening coast to coast, thanks to the movement of God through the Everyone campaign.
Just because the capital campaign is coming to a close, it doesn't mean all the projects have been completed yet. There are still several powerful projects that need to be funded and will be funded if we hit our $21.5 million in original commitments. We see no boundaries in building God's kingdom. Some households have moved away. Some have had other financial obligations arise that required them to not fulfill their original commitment. But it's still our goal to reach the $21.5 million during the 3 years of this campaign by March 24th. And it's going to take our entire congregation to accomplish all the plans and projects of this campaign. For some, this means fulfilling their original commitment amount. For others, it means giving over and above. And for many, it means making a one-time gift to everyone so that we can finish strong and complete all the projects that God placed on our hearts to accomplish. By reaching our goal, we'll be able to have cash secured in a savings fund for the Birmingham campus when a 24/7 building opportunity arises. After 12 years of meeting at Groves High School, a facility will allow us to make a bigger impact to reach the one. On a regular basis, we're exploring possible locations, and it's been in our plans to set aside $3 million for Birmingham's permanent facility. The Troy campus, now being over 20 years old, which is unbelievable, needs updates such as the kids space so that we can continue to pour into the next generation. New signage, auditorium seating, and even a new parking lot is needed so we can welcome our guests with an excellent first impression. For the Orion campus, we have plans for lobby improvements and new seating in the auditorium, a second floor addition in the training wing, and potentially, and maybe most importantly, an orange slide in the kids area. By reaching our goal, we will be able to support and fund projects for our global partners. In Kenya, we'll be able to provide discipleship training for pastors, educate women and children on the anti-FGM movement, and reach the one in Pokot with new churches. In Nepal, we'll be able to fund more border stations between Nepal and India to keep girls safe from exploitation and to bring victims of human trafficking into safe homes to find healing and hope. We believe that God is continually on the move. And because of that, we want to be on the move as well. And all these projects, they're not just about the buildings or shiny new equipment or keeping up with the times or looking cool. It's about people. It's about the one. It's about people having a real encounter with Jesus. That's what we live for. It's what we die for. It's what we've given our lives to see happen. And it doesn't matter if it happens at one of our campuses or church plants or school partners or across the globe or in someone's living room. We long to see everyone transformed and mobilized by Jesus.
That's so great. And it's crazy to think that it's been 3 years. And for some of you, probably many of you, when this campaign launched 3 years ago, you were here and you walked across this very stage with your commitment card and you put it in that box. And maybe for others of you, you've joined in since then. And that's how Robin and I jumped in as well, because we weren't here 3 years ago. But when we got here a year ago, we heard about this campaign and we said to ourselves, we just have to be a part of this. Because one of the things that really drew us to this community, and something that we still love so deeply, is the passion and the focus that we have to reach the one, that person who does not know Jesus. And that is what this campaign is all about. Because it's not about having bigger buildings or new buildings or shinier stuff. That's not what it is at all. But it's so that we can move towards, in a greater way, fulfilling the mission that God has given us. And that's what this whole campaign has really been about. And we've been able to take huge steps towards that. And as you saw in the video, and as you also will be able to see in the booklet that everyone should have received when you came in here. And some of the incredible things that have happened is that on the east side, our Clinton Township campus, they received a new building, and that came online this past May. And since this past May, their attendance has actually doubled, which is incredible. And so many of those people are people who have never stepped into a church before. Others of them are people who gave up on church, gave up on Jesus because of something negative that they've experienced in their past. But they gave it another shot, and they walked into that building. And when they did, they heard the message about Jesus, the hope, the love, the grace that can only be found in him. And their lives were completely changed. And also the churches that have been started all across this nation and all across this world that are reaching people with the message of Jesus. And also globally, what's happening through our global partners. In Nepal, the work that's happening in regards to fighting against human trafficking with our global partner Ramesh Sapkota there. And Danny Cox is actually going to be leading a team of men to Nepal later on this month. And it's going to be an incredible, incredible experience for them. But also what's happening in Kenya with our No Child program there, with Hope Water Project there. And actually in May, I'm going to be leading a team there as well. And so all of this has happened because of your generosity, because of your open-handedness. And as we saw in the video, so far that our community has pledged $21.5 million, which is absolutely incredible. And we've received $17.2 million thus far, but we are committed to getting to that $21.5 million mark because we want to complete everything that we have planned so that we can better reach the one. Because remember, that is the whole purpose of this campaign. And as I mentioned, every one of us, we should have received a booklet like this when we walked in. And if anyone did not receive this booklet, feel free to put up your hand right now, and one of our ushers will come down and give you a copy of this. But in this booklet, if you look through it, you'll see all of the projects that have been done. But at the same time, you'll also be able to learn more about the projects that have yet to be completed. And as this campaign draws to a close, what our desire for us as a community is for us to not only finish together, but also to finish strong. And if you open up this booklet, and you'll also see it on the sides, you'll also see on page 14 how we as a community can finish strong. And it really depends upon where we are on this journey. But just on page 14, in terms of what it says, is that if you're somebody who still has an outstanding pledge balance right now, and you've committed to giving, but you still have an outstanding pledge balance, what we want to invite you to do is to prayerfully consider fulfilling your current pledge amount, as we've relied on every pledge to complete all of our projects. Or to give a portion of your current pledge balance now and ask God to provide the remaining amount sometime in the future. Or maybe you're someone who's already fulfilled their pledge. And if that's where you are, we want to invite you to prayerfully consider investing with a one-time additional gift to help us finish strong and to reach our goal. Or maybe for some of you, this might be the first time you're ever hearing about this campaign because you're new to Kensington. And if that's you, we want to say welcome, and we're thrilled that you're here. Or maybe still for others of you, when you first heard about this campaign, you were at a place where you just felt like you just couldn't give because of some extenuating circumstances. But since that time, things have changed. And if that is you, we want to invite you over the next few weeks to pray the dangerous prayer and to ask, God, what are you asking me to do, and how can I be a part of this campaign? And to consider making a one-time gift. And so that is what we as a community desire to do, not only to finish together, but also to finish strong together. And we want to invite you over the next few weeks to ask God, what would it look like for me? What would it look like for my family to finish strong in terms of this campaign? And we're going to be wrapping up this campaign on March 24th, which is just 3 weeks from today. And on that day, in preparation for that day, there is also a card that is present in the booklet. It's on pages 14 as well, and the back is on 15. And over the next 3 weeks, we'd love for you to read it and to take some time to ask God, how do you want me to respond? And then on the green side of the card, we'd love to hear your response. And then on the white side, which is the other side, how you're going to fulfill that response. And then on March 24th, and that's going to be an incredible, incredible day. It's going to be a day of celebration. It's going to be a day of fun. On that day, we want to invite you to bring that card with you, as well as the envelope that's in your booklet. And we're going to invite everyone to come up on stage, and we are going to finish this campaign together. We're going to cross the finish line together, and it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a powerful, powerful day. And so over the next 3 weeks, we'd love for you to prayerfully consider, what does it look like for you? What does it look like for us as a community to finish strong together? And that's something that Robin and I are going to be praying about over the next several weeks. And I know Danny and Amy will be praying about that as well. And so, but something else that we want to say is we want to say thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your open-handedness. And thank you for catching the vision of what God wants to do, not only in this community, but through this community as well. And so many incredible, incredible things have happened. Lives have been changed. Lives have been touched. Generations, entire families have changed, not only in the Detroit metro area, but all across this nation and all across this world. And so thank you for seeing that and for jumping on board and for your passion to see the one, to see us reach the one with the message of Jesus. And so that's where we are in this campaign. If you have any questions, I'd love to have a conversation with you, but I'd love for you to pray about that in the coming weeks. And so what we're going to do right now is that I'm going to invite all of you in a moment to stand up and to say hello to somebody around you. But before you actually do that, I just want to give you a heads up, because after the greeting time, we're actually also going to be hearing a song. It's going to be a great, great song. And we're going to have, since we're talking about sex today, we're also going to have some fun with it. And we're going to laugh together. And it's a great, great song. It's called Business Time. And yes, it is what you're thinking it is about. But before we get to that song, let's all stand up. Let's say hello to somebody around us.
That's right, baby. Tonight is the night we're gonna make love. And you know how I know we're gonna make love tonight? Because it's Wednesday. And Wednesday is the night we make love. Monday is the night I cook, and Tuesday we go visit your mom. But Wednesday is the night we make love. And conditions are perfect. There's nothing good on TV. Conditions are perfect. And you lean in real close and say something sexy to me like, I think I'm gonna go to bed. I got work tomorrow. And girl, I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, oh yeah, it's business time. It's business time. It's business. It's business time. That's what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's business time. It's business. It's business time.
Next thing you know, we're in the bathroom brushing our teeth. That's all part of it. That's foreplay, you know. Then you go and you sort out the recycling. That's not part of it, but it's still very important. Then we're in the bedroom. You're wearing that ugly old baggy t-shirt from that team building exercise from your old work. Ooh, and it's never looked better on you. Team building exercise, not tonight. Oh, you don't know what you're doing to me. I take off my pants, but I trip over them because I still got my shoes on. But I turn it into a sexy dance. Next thing you know, I'm down to just my socks. And you know when I'm down to just my socks what time it is? It's time for business. It's business time. It's business. It's business time. You know when I'm down to just my socks, it's time for business. That's why they call them business socks. It's business. It's business time. Making love for two. Making love for 2 minutes. 'Cause when you're with me, you only need 2 minutes. 'Cause it's so intense. 2 minutes in heaven is better than 1 minute in heaven. Then you look at me and you ask, is that it? And I know what you're trying to say, girl. You're trying to say, oh yeah, that's it. And then you ask for some more, and I understand why you're asking for that. But I'm also very, very sleepy. It's business. It's business time. Business hours over, baby.
So today we get to talk about sex.
Woohoo!
You're excited?
I shouldn't be?
I don't know. It's going to be quite a day. It's interesting. Several years ago, we were asked to speak on a marriage cruise called the Love Like You Mean It Cruise by Family Life. And Bob Lepine, our friend who asked us to speak, hadn't told us our topic. So a few weeks before the cruise, I'm texting him on my phone. I'm using my thumbs because I said, Bob, what do you want us to speak on? And he's like, tell me the things you speak around the country on. And we're like, conflict,
communication,
you name it. So then I added sex, and he goes, oh, you guys need to speak on sex. We have no couple speaking on sex.
And we're like, oh, great.
I text back immediately, are you serious, dude? You want a couple in their 50s talking about sex? And right away he texts back, are you still having sex? Then talk about it.
You think that's so funny?
I think it's funny. So here's the thing. Yes, we still are. And yes, today we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be a great day because it could be uncomfortable for some people, but here's the thing. Everybody else is talking about it.
Yeah.
We know what the culture thinks. We know what movies think. We don't know what God thinks. The church has been pretty much silent on this for decades. I never heard a sermon, a pastor talk about this growing up. The only thing I ever heard in church about sex was it's wrong, it's dirty, and if you do it, you'll go bald. So some of us are really bald. Anyway.
And really, God talks a lot about it.
Oh, yeah. And it's interesting, when we talk about this at our marriage conferences around the country, we often have couples line up to talk to us, and we think they're coming up to talk about their marriage. And how often.
Right, and how great they're doing. Yeah, but more often than not, they're talking about this is so hard. Specifically, their sex life and the struggles in their sex life. Because honestly, we all bring so much baggage, especially into this area.
And I'll tell you this. Sitting in the room right now are different categories of people when it comes to talking about sex. There's some are like the blushers. You're like, oh my gosh, you're going to talk about this like with the lights on?
That means tonight we're going to have to do it.
Yeah, and then you've got on the other side of that, you got the locker room crowd who's like, yeah, let's talk about it. But, you know, you've got that going on in the room, and we've got to dance that little tightrope.
And then in the room also are, like, for me, I have sexual abuse in my background. And so that's true for some of the listeners. So for some of you, you've gone through that. That's so painful, and it really does affect this area. So how do we walk with that? How do we talk about it?
So we're going to try and be sensitive to that, because it is an area of our lives that many people have been hurt. And a lot of that's because we don't even know God's design, original design. So let's talk about that. We got just 3 thoughts. And the first one is this: bring God into the bedroom.
Which everybody, you're just like, wait, what?
That sounds weird. But here's what I mean. Bring God's perspective into this area of our lives. And as Ann said, God's the one who designed and created sex. I remember we said that once at a marriage conference. God created sex, and this guy in like the 3rd row goes, praise Jesus, you know. It was like, you know, his wife crawled under the chair. But here's the thing. We think the culture came up with it. No, it's actually something God designed himself. You go back to the Bible, to the very beginning, the Bible starts with a wedding, and you have a couple, Adam and Eve, the first man and first woman, and God brings them together, not as just a couple, but as a married couple. And in Genesis, which means beginnings, the first book of the Bible, Genesis chapter 2, it says this: that is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. Adam and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. Now, there is no father and mother in this garden. It's just Adam and Eve. So what's God doing? He's setting up this institution called marriage, and he says it's a beautiful thing. You're going to leave mom and dad, and you're going to cleave to your wife, and you're going to become one flesh. And that means sexual intercourse. It means sexual intimacy, and it's from the very beginning. Here's another passage that's in the Bible. I didn't even know this kind of stuff was in the Bible. Proverbs 5 says this: may your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth. And then he says this: a loving doe, a graceful deer, may her breasts satisfy you always. May you ever be captivated by her love. I had no idea the word breasts was in the Bible.
Well, it's so funny. I have a friend who has 2 daughters, and she walked into their bedroom one day, and they threw this book under the bed, and she's thinking, what are they looking at? And she pulls it out, and it was the Bible, and it was this passages like this in the Song of Solomon.
It's like you think it's R-rated, but actually it's not R-rated at all. Why would we be ashamed to talk about what God was not ashamed to create?
In marriage.
In marriage, and that's his design. And it's interesting when you think about, okay, what was God's design for sex in marriage? It's really a couple things. One is obviously procreation or reproduction. This is his command to multiply and to build a godly legacy. He gave us a way to do that. It's called sex. Now think about this. If you're God and you want your human beings to reproduce, you could come up with anything you want. It wouldn't have to be sex. It could have been like cross-pollination. You know, you're like in aisle 7 at Kroger, and somebody sneezes by you, and you're like, oh, I'm pregnant again. Thank God it isn't that way. It's like a whole, it's unbelievable.
It's
God gave us this unbelievable thing, and part of the purpose is reproduction. I tell you what, I never heard there was any other purpose growing up in church. That's the only thing I heard. But if you study the Bible, you find out God also had another purpose, and it is pleasure. God desires that this be something that's pleasurable. He doesn't cover his eyes when a married couple is making love. Think about this. He actually applauds. Some of you can't even picture a God like that, but God actually applauds when a husband and wife make love. He's going, way to go.
Well, I heard one author say that when a husband and wife make love, it's almost like every time they do that, they're renewing their vows. And that's kind of a beautiful way to look at it. But it's hard, isn't it? Like, especially if you grew up outside the church, especially if you have no context for God, like to bring God into this, it feels like, wait, it's supposed to be, that seems weird to do that. But yet he designed it and he's applauding it.
And one of the most beautiful things about it, the way he designed our bodies, the way God designed the pleasure part of it, is when a husband and wife make love. And by the way, when anybody has sex, this is what's going on. It isn't just physical. It is the most intimate thing you'll ever do with another person, ever. It's soul to soul. It isn't just body.
Person, and that's kinds of marriage.
Yeah, God says this is, and so God did put in the covenant of marriage between one man and one wife, a husband and wife. It's like God says, protect it, because you're not just having sex. You're not just having pleasure body to body. This is soulish in nature. You're giving a part of your soul to one another, and you don't want to tie your soul to somebody else that you're not in a covenant of till death do us part with.
And we know, culturally speaking, people are like, what? This is the dumbest thing. I used to think this was the dumbest thing and had no idea that this was God's beauty and design. And here's the word, protection for us. Because Dave and I have pasts that we brought other people into this relationship, and it's really been hard.
And our biggest struggle in our first year, you heard about that, where you didn't want to be married anymore. A lot of our pain, I'll be honest with you, came from sexual baggage, sexual memories and things we brought into our relationship. We had no idea what we did before marriage would have an impact on our marriage. Oh my gosh, especially in this area, it does. Why? Because it's that deep. It's soul to soul. And so when you bring God into the bedroom, when you bring God's heart, God's perspective in, it's like you step back and go, oh my gosh, this is so delicate. It's so beautiful. I want to do it His way. And I want to honor Him in this way. And so it's a beautiful thing that we've experienced in, 3 decades of marriage. As you bring God into the bedroom, you bring His perspective. And so here's the thing. Bringing His perspective makes me, okay, I want to love her and cherish her and honor her. And I want to understand her. As we said last time, she's so different. I'm so different than each other. But this applies in the bedroom as well. So we're going to talk about this. The first thought was bring God in the bedroom. The second thought is this. Your body is a wonderland. You want me to sing it? Yes. John Mayer, your body is a wonderland. Nobody knows what he says there. But here's what they're getting at. And we all know this. Men and women are different. And again, we're not saying all women are this way and all men are this way. But when it comes to the area of sex, there's differences. And one of the big ones is just how we approach it, how we think about it. Men tend to be sort of compartmentalized, and women tend to be sort of holistic. Compartmentalized means I have compartments, and I can slide into one compartment and then slip into another, and they sort of never overlap. Holistic, I'm not even sure we understand holistic.
It's like you're global, because everything runs into everything. In other words, if Dave and I had a fight, and then we make up, and we're done, but 2 minutes later, Dave could be like, let's have sex. I'm like, we just got over our fight. He's like, yeah, we're over it.
Yeah, and she can't think that way, because here's my analogy. Women are like a string of Christmas lights. If one bulb's out, they're all out. Guys could care less if any of them are on. Let's go. But it's just absolutely totally
different. Because we're thinking of all of our stuff at the same time. And if one thing is off, it affects every other area. And so I came up with this visual illustration just to help guys and to help Dave explain, like, this is what it's like for me. Let's say this night, I'm like, give Dave the look like, hey, how about tonight is the night?
She's never given me that look.
I have to. Like,
I don't know what this is.
Hey, this is it. That's our... That's our little cue there. So that means, like, tonight it's happening, right? So Dave goes into his sex compartment. So he's upstairs. This is the only thing that's on his mind. That's it. He's waiting for me. So I'm downstairs, right? And here, as a woman, here's what I'm thinking. All right, so what needs to be done tomorrow? Do we have any milk in the refrigerator for breakfast? Do we have groceries? And so I start thinking about that, right? So I start picking up bags. Oh gosh, Dave's traveling this weekend. Like, what's he doing? What's my schedule? What's that look like? Oh my gosh, we're writing this book. We have to write this more chapters in it. I haven't slept. When was the last time that I slept? I haven't slept in ages. And then I'm thinking, if my boys are in the house, I'm like, oh gosh, are their clothes ready? Did they played football? Is all their stuff clean? And then I can think, oh, my mom was sick. Like, is she doing okay? And I need to call my friends. And so I'm picking up all these things, and I'm thinking about this, right? Dave is upstairs in the bedroom waiting for me. It's not even this. I have probably 100 more things clinging to me, thinking about them, and it affects every area of my life. So I get upstairs, right, and I go to bed, and here I am, like, I can barely even get in the bed because it's like, I've got all this on my mind. And then Dave looks at me, he's like, what's on your mind? I'm like, are you kidding? All this stuff, do you not get it? And he goes, no, I don't get it.
And here's the thing. When you realize all this is weighing her down, it's like, okay, there goes that idea.
And then, you know what we do as women? We pick up another bag. It's called the guilt bag, and that's like the heaviest one. So what do we do about this? Because God made us so different. And so we want to walk through that. And I'm going to tell you, for Dave and I, this had a huge effect on our marriage because we were great. Like a lot of couples, like how often you do it, the frequency, you're really similar. When we had kids, I was exhausted. So we have 3 little boys running around, and I'm like, this is so hard because I'm carrying all this stuff. And Dave's frustrated because he wants to have sex more. I'm feeling like, well, if you'd be more affectionate or if you'd be more loving and cherish me more, you know, maybe I'd be interested. And so we were really missing each other. And I was like, why did God make us so different? Like, this is a bummer. I love the book Love and Respect because Emerson Eggridge talks about how we're different as male and female. And he says, to get to a man's heart, and that's what we want as women. We want to get into them and their relationship and who they are. To get to a man's heart, you first have to go through his body, like sexually. But for a man to get to a woman's body, he first has to go through her heart. And it's about relationship. And so it's like, I read that, I'm like, oh, well, that's awesome. We're just missing each other, you know? And yet, why did God do that? Because this can be a real difference. And I'm not saying that all men want sex more than women or women want sex more than men. It could be totally flipped, and I'm not sure how that looks in your family relationship. But this can be real tension.
And the interesting thing about it is I got mad, and we had fights about this because I did not understand how different she was. And we talked about this last time. It's like, what are her top 3 needs?
Right.
Guys, do you remember? Are you yelling this out right now? Because, man, it's like after that last session, I hope you went and said, okay, what are your top 3 needs? And I didn't know that Ann longed for me to be affectionate. She longed for conversation.
I wanted relationship.
Right.
And Dave, I felt like he wanted sex more than relationship. I wanted relationship more than sex because the relationship led to sex.
And what we both realize is it's absolutely beautiful that God made us so different. And again, in your relationship may be flipped, but it was like, oh my gosh, if Ann was just like me, it'd just be an act. And honestly, I was good with that, right? But no, it's like, it's so much more beautiful and more intimate and deeper than that. And if I was just like Ann, all we'd ever do is talk. So, so it's
not
like,
true.
No, I know it isn't. But it's like, oh my gosh, God made us different.